Hey, this is Navene.
Oh, hi, this is Josh Runquist.
Hey, man, how's it going?
Doing great. How are you doing today?
Good.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I just got to check out the new album from you guys in Entheos, The Infinite Nothing, and I just gotta say, I really love what you guys are doing on the debut album. It sounds completely fresh and very cool to see that you guys are putting this out.
Right on, man. That's a good compliment. Thank you.
Not a problem. So, for people who haven't had a chance to hear you guys yet, how would you describe the new album?
That's a good question. I would say it is, to put it simply, it's a mixture of death metal and progressive music and all of our individual tastes put into one thing.
It's definitely a great way to describe it too, because when you listen to it, it doesn't sound like the typical death metal or progressive metal. There's so many different elements that are in there. A lot of electronic.
I think it has the electronic moments give it a bit of a twist, and even within that, I think there's so much you can do. Like, so let's say it has electronic elements and it has death metal elements. Well, where are you drawing inspiration from within those genres? And I think it has a bit of a nod to the more older death metal that all of us like, and just put with a modern spin on it, because it isn't like tech death metal. I'd say it's more in the vein of the metal influence is more in the vein of like Dying Fetus and Necrophagus and things that have been around for a while, but then taking a more like a interesting melodic approach to it.
Yeah, that's definitely a great way to describe it as well, because you hear those elements in there too, and when you add that modern tinge to it, it definitely gives it a very distinct sound that is very cool to hear.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. That's the idea behind it.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And of course, you guys are going to be heading out on tour pretty soon with the Contortionist, and that entire lineup with the Contortionist, Monuments, Entheos, and Sleepmakeswaves is such an incredible lineup to see as well.
Yeah, really, really excited about that. We're really fortunate to just be able to do tours at this point in our band's stage, because we are a new band, but things are picking up pretty quick and we're all just antsy to keep that going. So Contortionist taking us out has been a blessing, and we can't wait to do the tour.
It's great to see too, because again, just with that kind of lineup, because all four bands do make sense to tour together, but none of them sound the same combined, which will make it a very interesting night.
Absolutely. I think with our band, it's kind of hard to pinpoint right now, like what we're doing. I think obviously it has all the elements that we've talked about, so it's a pro and a con, in that we can play with anybody, but then there's also the flip side of like we might not fit bill with anybody. So I think right now we're just kind of seeing where the ball lands.
That's a great way to do. That's a great way to do it as well.
Yeah, where people are going to accept us. And I think since it's not so straight up one way, we have to just kind of present it to lots of different crowds, and whoever likes it can come with us.
Exactly, that's the way to do it. So with the new album, was everything that's on the new album recorded for the time of the album? Meaning, like, was there any B-sides or anything that got left off, or was everything that's on the album recorded for the album?
There is definitely like riffs floating about that didn't get put into song, because what we do is we write a lot of riffs and then we kind of assemble those a little bit at a time until we kind of mix a cluster into a song. So there's obviously a lot of parts that we have, and we're like always writing. I mean, we already have material written for after this album. So, I mean, we're in a good space with all the members of the band are kind of really motivated to just write a lot of music and put it into the project. I think for a lot of us, it's the project that we all never really had, where we are actually inspired to just work on this project all the time and feel fulfilled. So things get done pretty quick.
Oh, it's great to hear that as well, because it is such a fantastic lineup that is in Entheos, and it does sound so fresh and inspired by all of you guys as well. It's great to hear that it's gonna keep going like that, where it still has that inspiration for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think within the material and all the members, we just want to keep going. It's not the type of thing where you take some time to write an album and then you do your touring and then take a little break. So we kind of just have the whole thing is just always going all at once. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So because at this point, it's just kind of ingrained in all of us to just constantly be working on stuff.
And it's great to see that too, because again, with it sounding so inspired and everything, I can only imagine where it can go from here with you guys. Do you guys feel like with the Infinite Nothing that you guys have found your sound, or do you feel like there's a lot more territory that can be hit?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think there's a lot more territory that can be hit. I think the dynamic of the band was sort of established right away. I mean, we are in a way picking up from like our old bands and stuff where we left off, where it was kind of its own metal sound with, you know, animosity and flesh rot. And, you know, we've added Malcolm Pugh to the band, so he's writing more now and adding a really cool flavor to the band. But yeah, I'd say in general, for sure, we've got our sound in a way. I don't think it's quite, you know, 100% in my mind yet. I think we still got to keep experimenting. But the band's sound is experimental. So
Oh, absolutely.
it'll always be. You know, none of us really want to do the same thing twice exactly. So we're just all I think we're all striving to find that perfect blend of everything.
Oh, that's always a great thing to strive for as well. So when it comes to your playing, how did you approach Entheos with your style of playing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty much the same thing, what we're doing with the actual music, the notes I'm to do on drums. I'm trying to find that balance of all the different stuff that I've done over the years and a good blend of everything. You know? And I think in the beginning of the band, you know, I was a little more concerned with like getting my speed back up, getting the more chops up and stuff like that, because I hadn't done it in a while. So I wanted to make sure that I could still do all that stuff. And then, I think I might want to get a little more cerebral with it.
So would you say that the speed was the biggest challenge getting back into it? Because you haven't done this style of music in quite a while, so.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, for my top challenges are speed with double bass and just playing fast for a long duration of time. I think in terms of that kind of stuff, like on Infinite Nothing, it's probably like as fast as I really want to go. I mean, I don't really have the desire to play like insanely fast, and I don't really consider Entheos to be a particularly fast band within the genre of what it is. But getting my speed back up and everything was a priority, and I feel like I'm at a good spot to kind of start bringing in more of my other on the album though. Like on Infinite Nothing, I think I did a pretty good job blending everything together. But now I'm kind of just trying to, and even pick up new stuff as a drummer. You know? I'm always like trying to learn. I don't think since I've been playing for a certain amount of time, I don't have to learn new stuff.
So with that said, what are you currently working on that you might incorporate at some point?
So right now I'm more working on just like linear patterns between hands and feet. So it's not so much. I had a pretty good feel for playing like grooving kind of beats and stuff like that, but kind of trying to just break up all those subdivisions into different combinations between kick, snare, and hi-hat, or however you want to break it up. I've been working on a lot of stuff like that, and mindless practice with double bass and trying to mention it.
Great stuff to work on.
Yeah, but definitely I'd say in the future, I'd like to start approaching things with a more a linear fashion, but trying to break things up a little more and sort of in-depth in the writing.
That's very cool to see. I mean, because drums, especially in metal, play such a big part in the way that the music is going to sound, too. So as long as you feel inspired and you keep working on the stuff that you want to create for the band, it's definitely going to make the songs that much better.
Yeah, totally. Just like anyone else, I just always want to do better. And when I say better, I don't just mean like a vague sense of the word. I want to be more well-rounded, more, what can I try that I didn't do on the last one, on the next one? How can I improve the sound of our band with drums? It's more all-encompassing. It's not just, I want to show off more. It could be the opposite. It could be, where did I overplay? I need to take it down a little.
Yeah, and
again, have more creative ways of being flashy than just all the notes possible.
Exactly. I was just going to say that too. I mean, being an impressive drummer is not just about being able to play the fastest double bass or playing the fastest blast, but being able to know what to play and when to play it. And it definitely sounds like that's going to be happening more and more as the band goes on.
Absolutely. I think, honestly, I don't think that like my strong points as a drummer, or the reason why people think I'm a good drummer, is not because I'm the fastest or I can do the most blasting. It's because I'm more attention to style and trying to develop my own sound.
Exactly, and that's why I've always been drawn to your style of drumming too, because while you can hit speed, you're always more showing about like the groove and using all of the kit rather than just worrying about speed, and I appreciate that in a drummer.
Thank you very much. Me too. I mean, all my favorite drummers are not necessarily the most technical, or they have a sound that I really like, and that sound, it proves the band. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a member in a band, and so I'm concerned with like when I'm making a drum part. It's like how's this going to sound when I'm playing it on stage?
It is all about making the sound the best that it can.
Exactly.
With that said, did you change your setup at all when you started Entheos?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm like, if anybody's followed me for more than a couple of years, so I pretty much have a different setup every time I go on tour. Entheos is more of like my older kind of traditional like animosity setup. Lately, I've been kind of going minimal and just kind of trying to like eliminate as many things as I can and still play the parts. And I'm really liking that. You know, I mean, when I see pictures on Instagram and the internet of like jazz kits and kits like that, I'm so jealous because that's just like what I want to play.
And I definitely think that you could pull that off as well.
Yeah.
So, what have you taken off from the kits in recent times?
Yeah. So, like, for instance, on the album and on, I had a 6-piece kit. So it's kick, snare, 2 rack toms, and then a floor tom on each side, one over by the hi-hat and one on my right. And then, breaking it all down, I'll just tell you what I got rid of. Like, instead of having 2 splashes over the rack tom, I have 1. 2 rack toms, I got 1. 2 floor toms, I have 1 floor tom. You know, 2 chinas, 1 on each side, I just have 1 china. You know, so it's like, I kind of just have 1 of each of the bare minimum stuff that I need. I just have a 4-piece kit, I have a crash on the left, china on the right, ride, stack, and a splash and a hi-hat. And that's it.
So did that...
And even that, I feel like, is kind of a lot.
When you scaled it down almost half of the kit, did that still feel natural to you playing the songs, or did you have to readjust your playing to make it work?
It still feels natural to me. I mean, I would usually, like, on a tour, I'll start off with, like, the full kit, you know, 5-piece and a bunch of cymbals, and usually by the end of the tour, you'll see it looking like a jazz kit. So when I got home, I was just kind of examining what I really need. And I guess some of the fills are a little easier when you have 2 rack toms, but it's all good for me. I like the 4, and also I've used a 4-piece for so long that I'm just used to it either way.
Oh, very cool.
And also, I'm not really like the type of guy who gets like super thrown off if my kit's different. I've just always done that. I've just always experimented with changing stuff around, so I can adapt quickly.
And I think that's another sign of a great drummer as well, being able to adapt to any setup in any situation as well, whether you got a full double bass kit or being able to scale it down to a jazz kit with just a few cymbals. If you can adapt to the situation.
Totally. And I think, obviously, I play a little bit different on each setup, but to be able to do that on the fly is a plus. I mean, like, for instance, we're playing a fest at South by Southwest this year, and they have a kit setup that I have to play on. So, you know, you can either kind of like throw a fit, be upset about it, or you can kind of just embrace it and just see what you can do.
I've always been interested in that, especially when it comes to South by Southwest. Are you able to change anything on the kit at all, or do you have to play exactly the way that it's set up?
Usually people let you bring your cymbals and your pedal and snare, and then you can kind of, like for instance, they sent me what they're providing, which is a 4-piece kit and 3 cymbal stands. And that's it. So you can't use any more than that, and you have to just make do with that. I know a lot of people that would just kind of like, they would freak, but fortunately for me, I've been kind of gawking over small setups anyway, so I'm kind of excited about it. I'd probably be more upset if it was the opposite. If I had to play on a huge metal drum set, I'd be upset.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you've been playing a 4-piece kit for so long. I mean, I also think that makes you a great drummer as well, because when you restrict yourself down to a smaller setup, you don't have to rely on doing the same fills over and over, which tends to happen when you have a bigger kit. You can use more creativity when you have a smaller kit.
I agree, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm kind of learning. It's not really learning, it's more just sitting down and creating new muscle memory patterns for stuff that could be applied to almost any setup. You know, if you can do a bunch of different combinations between the kick and snare on practice pad, then, you know, applying that to the kit, you can do endless stuff. You know, whereas if you're just doing kind of straight up like 16th note rolls between the kick, snare, and toms, that sort of drumming, you're going to need more items to diversify the sound, rather than just changing the patterns up on a smaller kit.
No, very much so.
So that's where I'm at right now. Yeah, I'm really trying to just get more into that.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds like you're approaching it in the right way, too. I mean, being able to just do a setup that's comfortable with you, keeping it smaller, because I know that always helps with touring, being able to not have to worry about as much gear, and being able to flow through the creativity as well, just having just a couple drums, a couple cymbals, and being able to play everything the way you need it to.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. And, you know, getting more out of the stuff that you do have.
Yeah, very much so, because when you have a ton of cymbals, some of them only get used for effects, which could be used as a main cymbal, or some of them don't even get hit at all except for like one or two songs. So yeah, it's definitely a cool way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I always, whenever I got something new, I always made a point to really like use it a lot, because it always bothered me when people had like, I would watch drummers and they'd have like, 3 crash holes or something. I'd watch one crash and I'd see that they only hit it like once the whole time. It just, for some reason that always bugged me. So even like today, I still feel the same way. I try to use everything I have a lot, so it's not just there for show.
Yeah, I mean, I've always noticed that about drummers too. Like, I always pay attention to the drummers live and seeing if they actually do use all of their kits, because I know a lot of drummers will have 2 bass drums and they use a double pedal instead, so it's just there for aesthetics.
Yeah. I mean, although I am into my drum set looking cool, like aesthetically pleasing to look at, but I want to use all this stuff.
Exactly. I mean, when you're bringing your own gear and you don't have an entire team of roadies, I mean, you want to be able to have a kit that you're going to be happy with and stuff that you're actually going to be needing for the shows.
Totally.
So just to wrap things up here, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview. It's a tremendous honor to be able to talk to you. What are the
No problem, man.
What are the plans for the rest of the year with Entheos?
So we have Contortionist. That's going to start in a week, and then there's another tour for the summer in the works. That's not been announced yet. After that, we're not really sure. I mean, we want to tour as much as we can on the album that we just released, but also we would like to have, we're working on new material, all the time. So we want to, in between tours, work on new material and just keep that machine going as long as we can.
Fantastic. And for you guys individually in the band, are you guys working on any other side projects or anything, or is it just 100% on Entheos?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now we're pretty focused on Entheos. I think all of us definitely think about doing other stuff, jot down ideas here and there, but I think ultimately my goal is to keep developing the sound for Entheos rather than start on something new.
Oh, very cool, and I'm glad to see that too, and I wish nothing but the best for you guys, because I'm absolutely loving the new album, which comes out April 1st, and of course you guys will be on tour with the Contortionist, Monuments, and Sleepmakeswaves. That'll actually be hitting my neck of the woods in Minneapolis April 5th at the Caboose, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you guys.
Awesome, man. That'll be great.
Before we wrap things up, is there anything else that you'd like to bring up that I haven't brought up yet?
I think you pretty much covered it, man.